Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this GFN5. The word gateway carries a lot of weight and emotion. It reflects a real concern, especially since it's generally used to speak about young people. Also, because it makes it sound like there's only one inevitable direction. But is real life really that simple? Let's explore what actually happens when you follow underage e-cigarette users over time. A lot of the gateway debate has been based on snapshots of data using cross-sectional surveys. They take independent samples at several points in time and compare the different subgroups across the different populations over time. When you line up those snapshots, it can feel as if it's directional. Like there's a path of people moving from one product to another. But snapshots of data, even repeated snapshots, don't tell you what actually happens to an individual. We can only do that by following the same group of people over time and observe how their behavior evolves. And that's why we decided to look at product use trajectories in underage individuals using the main path study waves. The special collections were not included in this first analysis. PATH is a large population representative study specifically designed to assess tobacco and health in the US by following tens of thousands of individuals aged 12 and older over time. Importantly, for assessing gateway, the PATH study includes two distinct populations. An underage population, aged 12 to 17, alongside an adult population, 18 and older. The study now spans about 10 years, with 7 main waves of data, so we can start to see how product use patterns evolve over time. We looked into a population of underage e-cigarette users to understand how their tobacco and nicotine product use evolved as they moved into adulthood. To assess that, we had to be very deliberate in how we defined the population. In the earlier waves of data, there were too few e-cigarette users to follow. At the same time, we needed at least 2 waves of follow-up to be able to look at trajectories. So, we began in Wave 5, or 2019, and identified the underage individuals who were using e-cigarettes or combusted tobacco products. From there, we followed the individuals forward and plotted their tobacco use trajectories until 2023. We also compared the similarities and differences between people who started with e-cigarettes with those who started with combusted tobacco products. We started with all underage individuals in Wave 5 who reported current use of either e-cigarettes or combusted tobacco products. Then we limited the population to those who had data available in both Waves 6 and 7, so we could follow them forward. The next step was to clean up the population. We did this by removing individuals who reported a history of tobacco use in Wave 5 or reported being a current user in Wave 4. After applying those criteria, we ended up with 255 e-cigarette initiators and 41 combusted tobacco product initiators. All of them were between the ages of 15 and 17, with slightly more being female than male in combusted tobacco users. Combusted tobacco users had a slightly higher intensity of use in Wave 5. Adjusting the sample by removing those with evidence of prior tobacco use had no meaningful impact on the overall trajectories of use. In other words, the trajectories between e-cigarette users with no prior smoking experience and e-cigarette users who had reported prior smoking were similar. In the end, very few never-smoking e-cigarette users, approximately 3%, progressed to smoking. Around 1/3 of them smoked exclusively, while around 2/3 smoked and used e-cigarettes. The overwhelming majority of e-cigarette users were not using any tobacco or nicotine at subsequent waves. This was true also for tobacco smokers. The majority of smokers were not using any tobacco or nicotine products at subsequent waves. However, there are some key differences between e-cigarette and combustible tobacco initiators. Among those who initiated with e-cigarettes, only 3% transitioned onto smoking. While in contrast, those who initiated with cigarettes were much more likely to transition to e-cigarette use, over 17%. But most striking was the difference in the proportion still smoking in Wave 7, just over 3% smoking in the e-cigarette group compared to almost 27% in the combustible tobacco group. Overall, we saw far more movement away from cigarettes in the smoker group than towards cigarettes in the e-cigarette group, with complete cessation being the most frequent transition pathway in both. These types of analysis are important in the debate about gateway because they help characterize how product use evolves over time at an individual level. Thank you for your attention. To learn more about PMI's scientific research, please visit pmiscience.com.